Good morning.
Hello. Let's see. I'm supposed to be there.
Good morning, Thad. I'm on Will's.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
So I'm Will Hanky today. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. I figured out how to unmute myself, so that's a good step.
It's all working out, isn't it?
Yeah, this will be interesting.
Awesome. Let's see.
We'll give a few minutes for people to hop on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, Thad, did you get connected with the December 5th fund, guys?
I did, yes, yeah. So yeah, we've exchanged preliminary emails.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I think it's fantastic. And he was very open to different suggestions. We had conversations because he kind of asked, what do you do for these things? I was like, I don't normally do these things. So let's discuss some options and some things that we can do. So I think it's something that's going to work out because his whole mission's kind of changed.
Yeah.
With not being able to do what they normally do with taking people to events as opposed to bringing events to people. So.
Well, it's ideal for you, and what you can provide, along with Jeff, with juggling Jeff.
Oh, Jeff's fantastic. He's just
a
great guy, and yeah, he and I have worked together several times. In fact, one of the first times we worked together, I was just doing balloons, and he was doing a show. He came over and juggled for some of the kids in the line and taught them how to juggle balls. It was fantastic. It was fun. He's a lot of fun, and that's what it takes.
Absolutely. Is that your production shop there?
Oh, yeah. This is the basement. If you notice, this is Barry Manilow.
Is it really?
Yeah. My wife's a huge Barry Manilow fan. So this wall is going to be Barry Manilow memorabilia. Why it's going to be in my office, I don't know. And over my other shoulder, this is the Kurt Warner memorabilia wall. There's a jersey of his, signed jersey. She's a big Kurt Warner fan too. So all of her memorabilia is in my office.
Yeah. That's good.
So yeah, I call it the office. It's actually the basement, as you can see, with clutter of stuff all over.
I like it, the production shop.
Pretty exactly, yes.
My production shop.
Somebody asked me the other day if this is my COVID hair. I said yes. It's not supposed to be this long, but
it works.
It works. It's not the worst thing in the world. So
yeah. Well, I've had to try to trim my hair a few times. I can get the sides and the top a little bit, but the back is going to look like yours soon.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm starting to trend, I think.
Yes, you did.
Oh yeah. Well, it's
looks like things might open up here soon. The 18th is what they're talking about for the county here.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I'm excited about that at this point.
I don't. Yeah, I listened to a story this morning on the radio. I was out delivering balloons this morning already. I've been doing a lot of deliveries, doing birthday numbers for yard parties and driveway parties.
Yeah.
But I was listening to a story, and they said that things the government can say things, but it's going to be up to businesses how they feel about that. And employees, do you feel safe going into the office and sitting next to people? or do you feel safe going into the, to the workplace, the factory, the warehouse, wherever you are, or even especially customer front people?
Yeah.
Around customers a lot that may or may not be wearing masks. How do you feel about that? Are you going to be comfortable? And if you don't feel comfortable going to work, what does that do? If you have an employee that comes to you and says, I don't feel comfortable going to work because of all the people, what do? I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how it opens up.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started here, Thad.
Oh, certainly. Well, hello everyone. I'm Thad James with Sammy J Balloon Creations, but I'm been a member of the Fenton Area Chamber of Commerce for 12 years now, and Jeff Wolf and I are the co-hosts for the Business Success Group, and we're going to get this up and started again. And of course, when we started to do this and get it going, suddenly we were restricted by gatherings with the stay-at-home orders. So we've kind of switched gears, and fortunately, we're able to do these presentations virtually, remotely. Our first guest today is the famous Jim Canada. Jim has spent over 30 years in the corporate world developing a career that has spanned several major corporations, including John Deere, American Airlines. I want to make sure I get these right. Reuters, Stone Charlie, an architectural firm, and several consulting firms. I've known Jim through the Experts for Entrepreneurs group for several years. He's one of the most intelligent, creative people I know. I'm actually a client of his with Alliance Technologies. They have helped me out immensely with my my limited technology needs. I know he does much larger jobs than just my little situation. And I've spoken to several of his clients who are thrilled with everything that Alliance does. But he's here to talk about some more important things than that. And I will turn it over to Jim to make us all smarter.
Thanks, Thad. This is completely different for me. I hope I can get this all figured out and deliver a good talk. Being a Toastmaster, I learned from Dr. Albert Morabian that 55% of a presentation is what you see, 38% is the voice, and 7% is the contact. So you take out what you see, and all of a sudden you got somebody talking to you. So I'm hoping I can get some good inflection in my voice, since that's something maybe you'll remember. But let me see if I can share my screen, and we'll just jump into our presentation here. Oh, this looks different. Not sure where I'm going with this here. I'm trying to get to that, but can people see that? Kelly?
Yes, they can. Yes.
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 Okay. It's too bad I can't take my own face off of it. Anyway, I'm assuming you can see these slides ahead too, so that's all right. We'll just dive in. But what I want to share today are 3 guiding principles for navigating through this massive change that we're going through. And so let's start with where we're at today. I want to first cover resilience, and then I also want to talk about empowerment and leadership. So first, resilience. So here we are with our organization today and what's going on. And so there are so many outlying factors that are affecting business today with the COVID, but even without that, you got the next shiny bauble that's out there. You got people that are filing for their PPP. You've got employment issues to deal with. So organizations their leadership is constantly shifting and moving and changing, and this impacts you. So you are impacted by all of this, And think of it in your own world. Besides just an organization, think of it yourself. You got to take the kids to school. You got to deal with the pets. You got, you know, your partner, you know, maybe unhappy one day, and we got to deal with that. You got to deal with a lot of different things, college selection. There's a lot of stuff going on in your world. Well, people love equilibrium. And so this is when you're all right in the world. When your capabilities equal the challenges that you have, these distractions, these arrows that are moving everywhere, these are what happen in your life. But if you're capable of dealing with them, you have equilibrium. You're in control. Your ability and your willingness matches the danger and the opportunity and the changes that are out there. So people love to be in control. But what happens when your capabilities are greater than the challenge? Well, at this point, you become bored, you become distracted, you disengage, you are feeling like you're a V8 engine strapped to a bicycle. And I've talked to a lot of people in my career that are in this state and in their business. They're making good money, they've got a great position, but they just don't feel like they're adding value, or it's not challenging enough. And that's the worst thing for some people to be in this position. So what happens if it reverses? When the challenge is greater than the capability? Well, this is when you become pretty stressed out, pretty lost, pretty much in shock. And you tend to all of a sudden hibernate. You can't make decisions. So what I want to explain is there are certain dynamics to change. And these impact you. So here you are, you're feeling at this point awkward. There's just too much to handle. There's a lack of resources. I don't feel comfortable. These are dynamics to change that impact you personally. And sometimes when you have change going on like that, there are certain responses that you have. So you start out kind of feeling comfortable and stable because, hey, remember, you're balanced. Your capability and your challenges equal. Well, all of a sudden, there's a big change, and you're in shock. So COVID-19, perfect example. Many businesses just were immobilized. They didn't know what to do. They kind of, sometimes you become in denial, and then there's anger. We see that going on out there. There's resistance, and you begin to bargain. Think of this in your own personal life, and then think of it in your own business, and it's pretty applicable. People get depressed very easily when change is happening and they don't understand it, especially if it's impacting you. You begin to explore and test things, and pretty soon, whoops. Sorry, I don't know if you could see that or not. My Slack messages. Pretty soon there's you get to a point where you just accept and you commit and you move on. So, hey, look at these responses to change in your own life and the way you go through things. So people want control. When they're in control, they feel comforted. And when they're comforted and feeling I'm in my move and in my groove, they can begin to influence things that are going on around them. Because think of yourself starting a new position. You don't feel comfortable until about 6 months in. Then you feel like you can start making some influence. So influence then helps with preparation. And when you feel prepared, you can meet and exceed expectations. So these are some of the feelings that people go through when they are in control. But hey, how do you survive the changing environment that's going around you? And really the answer is through personal resilience. Personal resilience is how you can survive these changing times. So what is personal resilience? Well, it's being proactive instead of knee-jerk and hiding your head in the ground. So being proactive, being positive instead of negative about what's happening around you. So take the positive spin on it, the glass half full methodology or more. Feeling, getting as organized as you can, because being organized helps you get into your comfort zone. Flexibility is the biggest key to me in personal resilience. Being flexible to take the things that are coming at you, spin them around in a positive, taking proactive steps, and maintain your focus the whole time, the direction you're going and what you're trying to accomplish. So personal resilience, this is the main slide here, in my opinion, in this particular principle that I'm trying to share with you. If you can maintain personal resilience, you can get through any change that's going on in your life and in your business. So how do we define it? This is a definition of resilience: the ability to absorb high levels of disruptive change while displaying minimal dysfunctional behavior. Really important. Look at it again. Read it to yourself. Disruptive change, minimal dysfunctional behavior. That is resilience. That's when you know you're there. And being resilient will help you in many ways, like regaining your equilibrium, having higher productivity on your job or in life or whatever you're doing. Excuse me, better health, achieving your objectives. You're no longer sitting back and not making decisions. Man, you're out there, now you're in your groove again. Now you're feeling comfortable. Now you can influence. Now you can exceed your expectations and just have a stronger rebound. But there are certain blockers out there to resilience that are called myths. And understanding that they're there will help you recognize and move through them. So let me share with you some of the myths that could block your personal resilience. And sometimes you're feeling about what might be happening in your organization, such as your management's not telling us everything. Well, maybe they don't know, and therefore they can't tell you. Not caring about us. There's a feeling that some people have on the job. They don't care. Well, maybe they are focused on some other things. This too will pass attitude. That my career is in jeopardy. That I can't make a difference. Out of touch. Changes are not necessary. Well, these are just myths that you need to recognize that are blockers to your personal resilience. And so just know that they're out there, and just identify them for what they are. When things start looking bad and you're bouncing around in your resilience area, but you can make an impact. You can make an impact in your organization. Your resilience has the ability to make an impact. That's you. That's the red ball. So just know that you can. So let's look at this business model. It's pretty simplistic, really. You've got a current state in your business, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or whether you're a company. And in this, you're moving along here, and there are certain parts everybody knows. I think the technology, the people, and the process are all what are just some of the attributes which help your business go. But you can impact your organization through your resilience and through the culture that you can create within your company. So let's look at this new model. This is where you can impact your organization and impact it in all the areas. If you want to get to future business, the way you're going to look in the future, you and your personal resilience, instead of becoming a negative Nancy, can help influence the direction your company is going. So in doing so, there are some positive consequences to the impact that you can make and getting your company to the next state. And that's through workflows, through job changes, empowering people, transcending boundaries, the new cultural evolution there that you're creating, performance measures. And there's just a lot that you can impact if you have resilience. And let's look at this one more time. Resilience is what I've been talking about as a principle. And how do we define it? It's being proactive, it's being positive, it's being organized, flexible is a key, and being focused. So that's how you can get through these massive changing times and deal with it yourself and within your organization. Next principle I want to talk about is empowerment, and this is really delegating. And so with it, with delegating, there is a key, and the key to that is, hey, you don't want to feel like you're doing everything yourself, and you hope to share some. I hope to share some do's and don'ts here real quick about empowerment and how it can impact you in the way you deal with your business, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or whether you're an organization. It's interesting, Thad, I didn't realize that I had notes at the bottom. That's not something I put in there. Must have been an old talk that I did. Hey, so man, sometimes you feel overwhelmed in your position, whether you're a solo entrepreneur, whether you're a manager in an organization or a leader or a CEO. My goodness, there are times when you could just feel completely overwhelmed with what's going on. And again, back to the change, hey, thinking about resilience, but even that, sometimes you're just out of control. And in fact, when I was at American Airlines, I had a team of 33 engineers focusing on some cost reduction programs. And I asked my secretary to make note throughout the day, what was the frequency that someone stopped in my office or the phone rang and somebody wanted something. So I had her do this little test, and it was every 5 minutes throughout the entire day. Someone stopped in, someone called, and man, it really, I had to keep up the pace. Well, what I did was actually, I had to take work at home just to keep up. So I started putting things in colored folders, helping to get organized. Again, I'm resilient. I'm going to get through this. So one way is to be organized. And I had folders. Blue meant that I needed to sign something. Green was something to read. Yellow was not as important. You know, if you get to it, great. Red was imperative. These were high priorities. I had to get to this immediately. Well, one day I came home from work and I had dinner with my family, and then I opened up my briefcase and I had nothing but red folders. I had priority paralysis. And all I could do was just laugh and think, oh my goodness, this is just too much. I've got to find a way out of this. Well, eventually I switched jobs and that helped. And I became an international consultant there. So that was kind of fun. That just created a whole new set of issues for me to deal with. But speaking of my corporate world, as Thad mentioned, these companies and the things that I learned from them helped me build my business as it is today. I don't think I could be where I'm at right now with my company if I hadn't have gone through these experiences. And really at John Deere, at the age of 28, I was moved to the corporate world headquarters in Moline, Illinois, and I headed up the cost reduction program for all the North American factories. So what I learned here was strategic planning. I put together a strategic plan to involve the other administrators within each factory that reported to me, and said, hey, for us to move from 30 million in savings to 60 million, we need this from you based on the size of your organization. And I got people to buy in on this strategic plan. And I showed them that their contribution really mattered in what they were creating, and we were successful. It grew to 60 million in savings from setting up the strategic plan. At Reuters, I had 300 people working for me, from vendors to employees. And quite honestly, I could not keep up with the number of emails that came in daily. So what I saw was, how can I deal with the mass communication that's going on with me? And so I found a book by Ken Blanchard called The 1 Minute Manager. And once I read that, that helped me decide, okay, this is important, I need to deal with it. This is just a nice read, delete. So I also learned, you know, that on the fly, with the fast-paced culture that Reuters had, we had to make decisions with 80% of the knowledge that we had. If we waited to 100%, we would never make a decision. We'd never get there. We'd never progress. So this is one of the lessons I passed on to my chief operating officer in Alliance, is, hey, I know you're a perfectionist and you'd like to be perfect, but let's do things when you're 80% certain and make it happen. And that just accelerated our ability to address customer issues and produce content for branding and marketing. So another lesson I learned there. At American Airlines, it was how to delegate. I could not handle everything that was going on, so I had to rely on my staff. And that's where I learned how to empower people and how to delegate. So I actually wrote my 5th book called Corporate to Entrepreneur: Strategies for Success. And in it, I built in strategic planning, presentation skills, trust in the workplace. It's just chock full of all the lessons I learned in the corporate world that were very pragmatic. But one of the biggest lessons I learned was empowerment, and that's a chapter that I have in the book. So empowerment and delegating is how you're able to move through what you do in your daily life. So whether you're a solo entrepreneur, a single person, like a Richard Terry, who I know Thad knows Richard, and he's a general contractor for remodeling kitchens and baths. He has to rely on his people. He's got to delegate out to the electrician and the plumber and the cabinet guys and the carpenters. He's not doing all the work himself, but he's got this group of people that are doing the work for him. Within a company, these are all your employees that you have. But you've got to learn how to scale your activities if you really want to get things accomplished. You can't do it all yourself, or you will be overwhelmed. But even when you delegate, you cannot be a control freak about it. Or what's the point? I'm sure all of you have worked for someone like a micromanager. It doesn't feel good. I've had some like that, and I just gave up on them. So one of the keys is letting go of control, delegating out what you're doing, and empower the people to get the job done. In Richard's case, he empowers the electrician to do his job. And if it's not done right, I'm going to let him know. And then he has to deal with the electrician. With an employee, you've got to let go and don't be a control freak. Give them the opportunity and empower them to do their job. So empowerment is really the key to delegating. And it helps you be scalable so you can get things done. So, all right, what is empowerment? It's really trying to create a new environment where you establish a good culture of listening to your employees and taking some of their advice, giving them the decision-making capability to make a decision on their own without having to come back to you and ask for permission, and creating initiatives that are sustainable instead of, yeah, I think we're going to do this, and then you go back and talk to the boss and and it doesn't flow. But if you push down, if you empower them, you can change your environment and your culture. You can give them the decision making and step out of their way and let them get things done. And you'll have sustainable initiatives if you empower them properly. So here's some do's and don'ts on empowerment. Create that positive environment, the trusting environment. Listen to them. You don't have to take everything, but don't feel like you know it all. I tell you what, your world will open up if you just allow others to provide some solutions. They get engaged, they love it. It's sometimes better than giving them a pay raise. If they feel valued and listened to, that's really what people want. Provide them the tools to get their job done and have the feeling that, if you're successful, I'm successful. There's so many people out there that are so afraid. There's such a control freak that they don't want you to succeed because it makes them look bad. Well, I was the first at Reuters to promote my people out. Same thing with American Airlines. If someone was working for me, the proudest thing I could do would be to help them get promoted. Because guess what? At American Airlines, when I had promoted out about 20 people, I could turn to any one of them and get whatever I wanted done because they would support me. And so, hey, it's a great tool to use to expand your ability to get things accomplished. Let them learn from their mistakes. Get out of their way. Release that control. And back to mistakes, it's okay to make a mistake. I know at American, people were afraid to step up and make any suggestions for fear of being criticized. It was a horrible environment in terms of mistakes. I believe that if you're not making mistakes, you're not doing your job. And oh, by the way, when someone does make a mistake, I always said, all right, what's the learning point here? And they'll tell me what it is. Okay, so if they continue to make the same mistake, then you got a problem. But give them one or two chances to make mistakes and readily accept those. Some of the don'ts are make a certain culture mandated. That's something you don't want to do. Dictate and control. You don't want to do that. And reprimand them for their mistakes. I mean, they'll never bring any ideas to you if you do that. Discourage development. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to develop your employees. You want to promote them. You want to move them ahead. And not listening to their feedback, that's the way to shut them down so they'll never participate. Oh, sorry. Slack notes. That's our internal communication. Obstacles that sometimes get in your way, of trying to get what you want done, hitting that brick wall. A lot of times is poor communication, and blame the process and not the person. All right, it's my fault. I didn't communicate that properly. Or there's a lack of consensus and you're beginning to dictate something. You have no vision statement. You have no direction. That's a brick wall for people. So as a leader, keep that in mind. So one of the points I want to make here is that people love to follow vision, confidence, direction, and communication. If you bump into people that are passionate about what they're doing, don't you just get absorbed with them? It's really having a good direction, having passion, knowing where you're going, and people will follow. It's really that simple. Some helpful tips. Make sure you're customer focused, that their managers in your company or you as the manager are a listener and a coach. I continue to evolve in my organization as we grow. And now I'm becoming more of a mentor and a coach than I was any kind of manager. And I like that. I'm pushing things down, I'm empowering the team, and now I'm giving them the tools for them to be successful. I'm encouraging them because in them being successful, I'm successful. and reward the right behaviors. At the end of our week on Fridays, we have a staff meeting, and I'm always saying, does anybody have something good that they want to say about something somebody's done? So there's always shout outs, positive shout outs on our team, and thanking each other. And oh my God, we've created a culture where anybody will do anything to help anyone. So it's just an amazing thing that we're creating. And you can get there too by rewarding the right behaviors. So solo entrepreneurs, this could work for you too. And that's the same way if you're out there dealing with vendors or business partners that you have to work with. Certainly having some sort of reward system for them that's informal, providing them with the direction, the tools, and the things that they need to be successful. So you solo entrepreneurs, keep that in mind. If you help your vendor or business partner be successful, you're going to be successful in the eyes of your client. And that's exactly where you want to be. So one of the things that applies across the board, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or someone in my organization, is I want you thinking like an owner. Thinking like an owner is something it's kind of a concept that's a little bit new. But it goes back to being resilient, being proactive, making decisions, getting things done for the sake of the client, whatever it is. And the epitome of that, I think is Ritz-Carlton. Anytime I'm sure that any of you have gone to a Ritz-Carlton, you'll find that any employee can make any decision and it's supported by their management. Well, what a cool thing to have within your company is to let your employees make decisions on behalf of the client, and everybody's happier. So keep the Ritz-Carlton model in mind and thinking like an owner. Employment, empowerment impacts customers. So at American Airlines, I was constantly harping on, if you make the gate agents happy and the ticket agents happy, our clients will be happy. And it was just a concept that, that American Airlines management couldn't grasp. Why? Because they were control freaks, and they were constantly battling with the ticket agents and the gate agents that were all in unions. And I just said, man, just stop arguing with them and work with them. If you'll do that, the customer is going to be a lot happier. I had a large project at DFW Airport. I was working for the vice president, Ralph Ricciardi, at the time. And it was the Gate 24 project. We mapped out the point in time when the client bought a ticket to the time that the airplane moved out onto the active taxiway. And we had this wall of activities. And I had 24 people on the team, from lead pilots to the lab guys to ticket agents and gate agents. And what was really interesting in that project was a discovery that, oh, you're doing this at this point in time when that airplane is taxiing out. Well, you're giving me this report. I really only need this much out of that report. Oh, I'm spending all this time creating this report. That's all you want? Oh, that's so easy for me. So we just opened up this massive communication amongst the different entities and accelerated the on-time departures for American Airlines. It was pretty amazing. Okay, the last one I want to talk about is leadership. Your leadership, whether you're a solo entrepreneur, whether you're a CEO in your company or a manager in your company, it's so very important, is the leadership and how you get things done. So first of all, going back to my analysis of don't try and do it all yourself, and learn how to empower, learn how to delegate, learn how to trust. Get the right people on the bus. Now that's something you hear me talk about a lot, is making sure that the people that you hire or bring in, or the business partners that you work with, have a similar mindset as you. And if they don't, and you have done everything you can to help them be successful and learn the way you are trying to do business, and they remain disruptive, then eventually you need to make a hard decision to get that person off your bus. But you are constantly looking, using Alliance as an example, we constantly are looking for people that fit into the existing culture we have, the bus that we have. Are they the kind that are giving? Are they the kind that are helpful, that are collaborative, that are communicative, that have the skills? Then they can be on our bus. So making sure you get the right people on your bus and empowering them to make decisions, and then get out of their way. Let them do it. Don't micromanage them. Let it move. So big part of leadership is making sure you have a plan. Remember before with the brick wall, if you don't have a plan and a vision and know where you're going, then the team isn't going to follow. And eventually they'll start leaving your organization because there's no vision. You've got to have a strategic plan. And these are certain attributes to a strategic plan that I'm pointing out here. Market penetration, growth plan tactics, business development, customer satisfaction, finance, expansion. So we have in our strategic plan 4 critical success factors. Everything we do revolves around them. And those 4 are customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, market penetration, and finance. Everything we do in our organization revolves around those 4 critical success factors. And the 2 most important ones are customer and employee. We've actually fired clients because they've treated our employees improperly. And what a message that sends to your staff, your team, your organization. It says, we really are serious. We really care about you. And we're going to take care of you. And we're not going to put up with somebody that's going to be yelling at you or cussing at you or being inappropriate. And it also sends a message that, hey, while money is important, the finance is important, it's not as important as you. So we aren't greedy. We're going to take care of our team. And what a message that sends. So anyway, you've got to have vision. And in that vision, you've got to have a certain objectives that you're trying to achieve. There's got to be a strategic plan for where you're going. Probably about 20 years ago, I wrote a document. I'm happy to share it. This is just some clips from it of what a true leader could be. So I was at the time I was at John Deere, and I've got these all spelled out. There's more, but these are just some of the attributes of being a good leader, in my opinion. A good leader is courageous. They're a big thinker. They're not just dealing with the tactical items of day to day. They're looking ahead and thinking about how they can grow. Just 5 minutes before this presentation, I got an email from an organization looking to sell an MSP. And so I'm always looking to buy existing managed service companies to expand my organization. This one happened to be in Ohio. So, hey, why not? It's close to Chicago. So we want to get into that market. We want Kansas City and we want Indianapolis. And do I have the exact method of how I'm going to get there? No, but this is me thinking, here's where I want to be. We'll make it happen. It'll fall in place. Change master. The leadership constantly has to be changing. Otherwise, if you don't, and here's a quote from me, you can quote me on this, if you're not moving ahead, you're falling behind. And I say that in my personal life, I say that in my business life. If you're not moving ahead, you're falling behind. Because there's another company out there that's going to want to provide better customer service, do things better than we do. And if we're not continuing to step it up, they will overtake us. Persistence, a sense of humor. Oh my, I love this one. Anybody that knows me knows I've got a fun sense of humor. I like to poke and jab. It's all part of bringing out the sensations in people and seeing how they react and respond, and I'm humored by it. So they get back at me at times. Being a risk taker is important as being a leader. You got to take some risks. Certainly if you're a solo entrepreneur, you're taking a big risk. Or if you've changed jobs lately, you're taking a risk. But sometimes you have to do that to move ahead. Being positive and hopeful. The worst thing a leader could do when this pandemic set out was to be irrational and unknowing of what to do. For me, it was stay positive, stay hopeful, and stay the course. And that calmness of a leader is what your team needs to see. You accept and use power wisely. So be humble as a leader, in other words, and don't let that power get to your head. Just remember, you're where you are because of the team behind you. And so keep that in mind. And you got to be committed to what you're doing. You got to show up. So these are just some of the attributes of a strong leader, in my opinion. And one of it is, back to the empowerment word, I'm going to use that again, in delegation. It's allowing them to make a mistake. As a leader, you've got to allow people to make mistakes. You cannot mandate things at times as the way it's going to be. You can create processes, yes, and you can continue to edit those and improve on those. And what they do, they must flourish by themselves, by itself. So allow things to happen. So here's a quote that I liked by Jack Gibb. And this gets at trust in the workplace. So that is so very important. Creating a climate of trust in a group. When I hire someone, I trust them. And I tell them I trust them until you prove me otherwise. I'm going to trust you. When you delegate and empower, you trust them. You have to trust them. When you open up the finances to someone, you give them some control, you've got to trust them that they're going to do it right. But if you have everything else in place, the processes, the culture, what you're trying to do, having the right direction, people will understand what this trust is. I'm winding down here, if that's what that note is. What have you done recently to delegate and encourage? So if I was standing in front of you, this is a question that I would ask you. What have you done to delegate and encourage empowerment in your organization? So with that, I will end my presentation, and I want to thank you for those that have hung on to listen. I hope it made some sense. So again, I covered 3 principles: resilience, empowerment, and leadership. And I hope these business principles help you in your business. So I'll turn it back over to you, Thad.
Thank you very much, Jen. That was fantastic. I can't tell you how many notes I've been taking on all the points you were making. If anyone has any questions, they can certainly type them into the chat portion of the Zoom window. There's a little button there. You can type in chat. And I had a couple of questions because I'm going to start off. How do you go about, and this is something I've struggled with too, when you're delegating to either employees or subcontractors or vendors, how do you go about establishing that self-trust that they're going to do what is needed from them? How do you go about trusting that that's going to happen properly?
Sure. I always begin with the end in mind. So I start with them with, here's my expectations, here's what we want to see happen. And so I begin my discussion with them with the end in mind and what my expectation is. So I'm very clear about it. And then we talk about the process of how to get there. And so we build that process together. But they start with a clear vision of what I'm trying to accomplish. I never will forget when I was at Reuters, I was head of all facilities for North and South America. and the executive vice president came to me and said, Jim, we're buying this particular company in Europe. We need all signage, all the receptionists saying the right thing. We need business cards for everybody. We need this, this, and this. Go make it happen. And I said, well, yeah, but I'm responsible for North and South America, not Europe. Jim, go make it happen. Oh, okay. So she started with the end in mind and said, go make it happen. And all right, she wouldn't hear anything but make this happen. Begin with the end in mind. There's the answer.
That's great. It kind of goes back to my second point was about the whole communication thing and how poor communication is an obstacle, and how you can't really depend on someone to do what you expect of them if you don't tell them what's expected of them. It seems like that's a very key point in the process of empowerment and delegation is the communication part of it.
Absolutely, and keep in mind, I mean, words mean different things to different people. So when I say the word apple, what do you think of?
I think of Red Delicious because I'm an apple eater, but I'm not an apple user.
That's right. Some people may think of the computer. So just a little example of, you got to choose your words wisely too when you communicate, because they mean different things to different people. Absolutely.
Well, that's fantastic. So Jim, I really appreciate everything. If somebody is in need of these slides, would those be available?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone wants these slides, you can send a message to Jim. His contact information is there on the screen. You can send an email to Kelly or to me. I happen to see Jim on occasion from time to time at our Experts for Entrepreneurs meeting.
I've been a little busy lately, Dan.
So if you'd like to see these slides, or if you have any other questions you want to take offline to Jim, I know he is open to answering questions.
Absolutely.
And discussing things, because I know Jim, and I know that he's very open to these things, and is willing to discuss any of these topics with you, because he's just that kind of a guy. So Jim, I wanted to thank you again for everything, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. And if anyone has anything else, Kelly, I don't know if you have anything to promote for the Fenton Chamber while we have an audience here.
Yeah, here you have Caesar Keller coming in.
Yes, he's doing a presentation in a few months. He is another very, very smart person. I know, Jim, you think so.
Oh yeah, he's on my bus.
Yes, yes, you wrangled him. So yeah, he is just an amazing person with an amazing.
Yeah, he's got passion. You're gonna love him.
Yeah. Kelly, anything from you?
The only thing that I would add is that we've got more of these webinars coming. We're getting the schedule together for May, and we are currently recording this webinar, so it will be available for anyone who wants it. I'll also be sending out an email for those that missed any of the webinars that we did in April. I'll be sending out an email with the links to all of those videos as well. So everybody will be able to, not only if you need the slides, but if you want to watch the complete video, you'll be able to do that.
Excellent.
Other than that, just watch for more info, and you know, we're all just having to, we're canceling all in-person meetings for May at this point, so we'll be continuing to do the webinar virtual event series throughout May, and kind of just go from there. We've got to take things one step at a time here.
Well, very good.
So,
I think for all your work
I'm
with all
doing the
this.
best of what we've got. Coordinating that, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you much. Kelly, thanks for all your work. Jim, thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate it. And thank you for everybody for attending this, and look forward to the, look for the emails about future meetings. So thanks a lot. Everyone have a good day.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.